everyone, welcome back to another process video and thanks for joining me again today. So these are a couple of layouts that I did after I showed how I'm going to do my die cut storage. I am finding that I'm really liking the die cut storage, in case you're wondering. And I think I did a couple of pages, but I didn't record the other one. I started to record it, but I wasn't really happy with the way it turned out. And I didn't not post it for that reason. I just chose not to. It was kind of funny because all I really wanted to do was go in and scrapbook these layouts. I already had the sketches picked out for them and the photos and everything ready to go, but I felt like it was kind of a struggle to get these done. I mean, like, papers kept flying everywhere. I wasn't really being clumsy or trying to go too fast, I don't feel. It was just like, I just wanted to sit and scrap. Have you ever had one of those times where you just want to sit down and scrapbook and nothing seems to really be working out for you? And I mean, I like how the layout turned out. Nothing really to do with anything of how the layout itself turned out. It just seemed like it was kind of wonky and I was gluing things down, and yeah. So anyways, I think that's part of the reason I didn't end up recording all of the next layout, but it's just one that I did using the same collection and no big deal. I think it's the same sketch that I've used in the past anyway. But I'm very happy to be getting videos back up more regularly on my channel. In fact, today I have already done the voiceover for quite a few layouts, and I plan to go do some more scrapbooking. I plan to get more sketch layouts going. A lot of people really had great comments about my sketch series, so that's definitely going to be a series that I'm going to keep up on the channel. By the time this layout goes up, I don't know if I will have another one of the sketch ones up or not, but anyways, let's talk about this layout. So I'm using the Christmas Milk and Cookies collection from Doodlebug Design. And I'm using this. I wanted some strips of red paper, and I hated to cut into this paper right there itself. I actually thought about possibly framing and using it as Christmas decor or something like that, but I wanted some red strips. The sketch that I'm using called for 4 strips that were 1/4 inch to go across the page. And I am kind of getting down to scraps with this. I have a few full sheets, but none of the colors really went. I didn't want anything too busy. And so I decided that I was just going to go ahead and not be a paper saver. That should be the new hashtag. Don't be a paper saver, right? So I'm making that a hashtag now, guys, okay? Although I really don't do much I'm on Instagram, but I'm only on there to see other people's. I don't hardly ever post anything, but if you want to make that a hashtag and follow me, that's totally fine. But I'm going to ink all the edges of the papers, and again, I just went ahead and I didn't save that paper and I cut into it, and now I have 4 red strips, which I'm really glad. I wanted red. I did have another piece of red pattern paper, but it was kind of more, whatever design was on it was just too much. And this one has little polka dots that you probably can't see real well in the video, but it really reads as a solid, so that's what I was looking for. And if I really wanted to, I could always just trim and leave a tiny red border on the other piece, which might actually be fun to do. Maybe I will go look at that in a few minutes. But you could just trim down and even frame just still the main of that pattern paper with the main square that's like a scene. You could trim it down and still use that even on a layout, so or frame it for home decor. But anyways, I have inked all my edges and I'm using my black Close to My Heart ink. I kind of went a little bit back and forth, but I ended up deciding on the black because there was some brown elements, being that there's a bunch of like gingerbread, not a bunch, I guess I shouldn't say, but there's a few gingerbread men and stuff that show up that are brown, but I still decided to go with black because brown didn't really seem to match the colors very well to me, and the black I figured would go with everything, and it's such a subtle touch that it's really not going to make that big of a difference in the end. So I did go with the black. I'm just fixing my ATG. I ran out of adhesive. That was another thing. My adhesive was kind of giving me trouble, but I did make it through these layouts and I'm very happy for that. I'm going to start on this side, and this side has some photos. I get a lot of photos. I'll have to count them maybe in a minute. I don't know right offhand how many I get on here. I did change around the photos that they had in the sketch. So I do that quite a bit. Say I have 10 photos. I will go to my 10 photo section in my sketchbooks. And if I don't find a sketch that works really well or that I want to use for the 10 photos, then I will look at the 9 photos and see if there's, say, for example, a 4x6, which I could put 2 3x4s instead. I do that very often. And so I did that here. I don't know which spots now that I'm doing the layout. I did this layout a couple weeks ago or a little while ago, but I do know that I cut down. It must have called for another 4x6 somewhere along there. And so I just made it 2 3x4s. And I think I even ended up not using one of my photos that I had planned on using in this layout. But it's not a photo that's going to be missed too much, if that makes any sense. It wasn't really a real important one. Oh, and here's this paper, so I guess I couldn't even cut down that scene if I wanted to. So that changes that. I will not be doing a layout with that. I didn't realize that was the back of that paper, but that's okay because I really like how this layout turns out. I'm just adding all the strips now, and I'm just adding them all to the left, and I figured I would cut them down because when I altered my photos, I also altered the size of everything on the right hand side of the layout. I remember that now because I think they called for maybe 4-inch width, and I changed mine to 6-inch width so that I could add 3 photos instead of 2 photos, if that makes any sense. And I will show you when I get there. So I'm not exactly sure what the sizes will be, and I've already inked the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and add everything to this left-hand side of the page, and then I will work on the right-hand side of the page, and my edges will still be inked even on the inside of the layout. I hope that makes sense of what I'm saying. So it works out really well. It turned out pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and glue down this last stripe, and you can see why I wanted the red. It kind of is just framing the top and bottom. I think they might have had a stripe strip or something like that on their sketch, but I knew I wanted the striped strip, the candy cane stripe above and below that one photo. You can see that 4x4 photo there. Which is another thing I think I did, is because it called for 3 4x4 photos along the middle section there, but because I took this right hand side and made it wider on the end part, where I will show you here in just a few minutes, I ended up cutting one of my photos down to 2x4 to fit in there. And I am wrong. I thought that I did it that way so that my inked edges would be on the inside, but I think I remember now that when I was doing the layout, I was like, oh darn it, I glued down the inked edges on the inside. So the edges on the inside of these strips will not be inked, but like I said, it's not that big of a deal. It's not going to ruin the layout at all. So I'm gluing these down, and I believe this is how you would normally glue them down if you didn't change any of the photos on the right hand side. But there's my 2x4 photo, and I just happened to have that photo of my daughter, and it worked perfectly. Now here's where I'm going to get a little messed up, because again, you probably saw me pulling up pictures a minute ago, but I went to glue this one down and I cut all of these to, I think, 3x6. And I thought, well, that's weird, because I thought I had everything perfectly measured out, and I'm so glad I didn't end up cutting one of these photos down. I'm just kind of laying them on top of each other and trying to fit them all in this section. I thought for sure that I had it all measured out right. So I'm going to go ahead and glue all 3 of them down on this side, and then I'm going to add a couple more strips. I'm going to try to tuck one in on top of the other one, and here's where I realized, oh yeah, I still have more pattern papers to add. So I did measure right, and I just need to add these on there. So I was very happy about that, because I was like, I swear I measured it right. I was even looking at the sketch again thinking, how is this possible? But now I'm going to add these last 2 strips to the top, and that explains what the problem was. And so my pictures were actually measured right. And I believe what they possibly might have had there was 2 4x6 or a couple different size photos that were only 4 inches wide, and you can see I did 6-inch wide photos instead, which is why I only had room for that one 2x4 picture. But I really like how it turned out, and the sketch had about the same number of photos, but when I picked the sketch, I didn't think about the layout of the photos, these ones being horizontal as compared to vertical, so that's where I came into a little bit of a problem. But now I'm going to glue them down, and they are going to be the right way. So this one was up just a little bit too high, and so I'm going to glue it down and try to kind of tuck it underneath the photo right below it. So that's going to give me a little bit of a problem. So this is what I mean by I just wanted to sit down and scrapbook, and I'm just having all these troubles, and it shouldn't have been this hard. If I was paying a little more attention, maybe, I guess, but it just, anyways, so at this point I was like, okay, I'm about ready just to be finished with all this, but I get it glued down and I like the way that it turned out. So since I pulled that one photo up, it was just sticking up just a tiny bit in the middle there, so I used some of that Lawn Fawn glue because it comes out such a small amount. So I just used that, just squeezed a little bit under the one photo where I pulled it up, and that helped hold it down quite a bit. And then I'm adding the last red stripe to the top of all that, and that is how my photos are going to go on the layout. So let's count. I think there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 11 pictures total. We can count them when the two layouts are side by side, but I am so good at taking tons of photos at Christmas time and Christmas cooking that it's hard to do all the different photos. So I really like it when, oh, and I forgot, I'm going to add these 2 other small photos. Now these are just photos of the cookies themselves. I mentioned in an Easter video that I posted recently that I have started taking pictures of the Easter eggs they've colored, and I wish I would have done that since my kids were little, but I didn't even think about it. And so the other thing I've started doing is taking pictures of the cookies they made. So you can see this small little one. I don't even know what it started out as, but my son made it into a hammer. I mean, I have no idea what shape we must have cut out of that. But it's just another fun thing that we like to do. So I'm really enjoying taking pictures. And again, you can see the full photos of the pictures of the piles of cookies together. And that is one thing that I'm glad I started doing. And I've been doing it for a couple years now, and I will continue to do that. That other photo with the snowman cookie isn't that important. I'm not really worried about that, but I wanted to use these 2 photos because I felt like they really needed to go in this space. And that one photo is going to cross over both of the layouts, but that does not bother me at all because it's just a cookie. It's not that big of a deal, but it's almost like a added embellishment, if that makes any sense. So there is my 2 layouts, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 photos on this layout, and it doesn't look too busy to me. I mean, there's a lot of bright colors because it's very, Christmassy, all the icing colors, but it works out really well. And then I went through my die cut sheets and I found this word that says Christmas. When I was putting the die cut sheets together for you on the video, I had kind of a feeling in mind that I would use this word Christmas. The only thing I wish they had was one that said cookies, but like I mentioned in that other video, I also had added this alphabet set in with my kit just in case I was at the crop and I was planning to do these layouts at a crop, but I knew I needed to get some videos up and they were all ready to go, so I just went with it and I decided to go ahead and do them at home. Like I mentioned many times now, I need to get a lot of Christmas ones done. So there is going to be a couple Christmas ones done coming up, but don't worry, not too many of them. Although we can always, Christmas in July, right? It's just May or whenever. Anyways, part of the kit, I don't even know if I got these with this kit or another kit, but these would go with anything, is these doodle clips, I think they're called, and they're heart-shaped, and they're a little bit wonky when you put them all the way down on the paper, that you can't really tell it's a heart shape, but I ended up kind of leaving it halfway off the picture, which you can see in the still shot photo in the end, that it's off the paper or off the picture a little bit, and you can tell a little bit better that it's a heart, but I really like how it looks there. And so I went ahead, my title is Christmas Cookies. I decided not to do any journaling on this. Although now looking at the layout, I don't know, maybe I will go back and talk about that being Mike's little hammer cookie that he made there, and I'm not really sure yet. We will see what happens. But in the still shot photos, there will not be any journaling. One thing I will mention really quick about my new die cut storage. So on some of them that were clear or the acetate stickers, I put a glue dot behind them, and I would suggest not doing that unless the glue dot is in a spot where you will keep that glue dot, because you will see here in a couple different spots. Oh, maybe that was the other layout that I did. I tried to rub the glue dot off the back because it ripped some of the white paper, so you couldn't really see the glue dot, but you could see the white paper from the cardstock where it ripped. Normally that wouldn't bother me, but when I tried to rub it off, because it was acetate, you could see it. If it was a sticker, it wouldn't have bothered me. So when I tried to rub the glue dot off, it rubbed some of the color from the acetate piece itself. So if you're doing that, I would almost suggest using one of the squares, the removable squares behind the acetate piece instead of a glue dot. So unless it's a removable glue dot, I did have a removable glue dot behind one of them and it rubbed off just fine. But that is my big shout out about doing that. Don't use the glue dots unless it's where you want it to go permanently. When you want to put it on your page, using the glue dots is perfect because it'll stay there. But because it ripped up the white paper, that is where the problem was caused. So I just wanted to let you guys know that in case you were following along with what I did with my die cut pieces. Now this layout is pretty busy and I feel like it doesn't need a whole lot. I did add that rolling pin there because we were making the cookies as well, and I thought it was really cute and I wanted to add a little something there, and I'm just adding a couple word stickers around. The sketch does not call for an embellishment cluster up in the top left or bottom right, but I wanted to add just a little bit something more to this layout. I didn't want to keep everything enclosed since there were so many pictures, so I just wanted to kind of spread around a couple little things. And that's about all I'm going to add. I am going to spread some of these gingerbread men around. Even though we are making sugar cookies, it still goes with the whole cookie theme, and I wanted to use these up anyway because I had extra packs. Like I had mentioned, I got some on clearance at a great price. So I'm just sprinkling those all over the place and kind of having fun with those and using those up. I did add a little heart sticker next to the heart clip on the picture with the hammer, and I think that turned out really cute there. I think I started with a larger one and then I found a smaller one that I changed it out to, but I think both of them were pink. And then another thing I'm going to do is these enamel dots. I'm going to add the same 3 colors in 3 different cluster areas, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to add a couple of them in the different colors that I didn't use, so you can see there's 5 colors on there, and I'm going to add those in a couple spots that are just kind of random, so below the rolling pin and then up here above the photo where there isn't anything. And I really like that because it's an odd number of those enamel dot clusters, but it kind of pulls in all the different colors. And this is going to be my layout. The still shot photos are coming up. I'm going to stamp my date now, and I don't even remember where I stamped my date out at. I think I might do it underneath the rolling pin. Nope, I did it under the word cookies, so that works for me. But I hope you guys like this video. You can see some, oh, and then I forgot to add really quick, I did add some fake stitching lines along the top and bottom of that red stripe. So I hope you guys like this layout. I hope you don't mind the Christmas. It was a lot of fun to do, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.